Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we are going to specifically talk about these incredible miniatures that coming out of Dragons of Stormwreck Isle, this new starter set. These miniatures are hugely important, and they are accomplishing multiple things at one time. So, Dragons of Stormwreck Isle, incredibly important new product. One of the things it's doing is it's telling Dungeons and Dragons 5th Edition Dungeon Masters that there is a dedicated purpose on the part of Wizards of the Coast to really 100% dial in, to just really slam, really drive the stake into the ground to say starter sets are important and we're going to be doing a lot of them, and you can be and you could be aware that we're bringing this forward, and we're going to bring lots of different kinds of these, and there's going to be lots of starter sets, which means there's lots of entry points for new people to enter Dungeons and Dragons through. But also, I really love this part. I want whoever owns Dungeons and Dragons to be incredibly profitable from it, and to be to be successful from it, right? I want the company who owns Dungeons and Dragons to be blessed by owning it, right? It astounds me how many Dungeons and Dragons fans are like, oh, $50 for a book, blah 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 blah, get all bent, and we're like, oh, I really like Dungeons and Dragons, but I hope I hope the company that owns it just dies in a fire. And you're like, why are you like this? And so, but one of the things they're doing too with these starter sets is they are making a very specific, they're making a product that is so good from so many perspectives. It's Dragons of Stormwreck Isle will serve as this really powerful tool to bring in 200,000 critters, right, and convert them from Mercer viewers to actual Dungeons and Dragons dungeon masters, right? This is perfectly timed, perfectly positioned, perfectly crafted to do that, right? At the same time, by making these miniatures for Hank the fighter, Eric the paladin, Diana the rogue, and specifically Presto the Presto the wizard, you get this situation where every person who's playing D&D 5e now that remembers the old is going to buy this, and a bunch of OSR lovers, simultaneously D&D 5e haters, are going to secretly buy this and admit it to no one and put it in a closet, right? That is definitely going to be a thing, right? Because the OSR just can't do this, right? They don't own the history of Dungeons and Dragons, and they can't put in this incredibly nostalgic, incredibly exciting old school energy. The OSR is literally failing to provide anything old school at this point, right? They've copied the the BX rules and the Beckme rules, and now they're stuck. They can't really do anything significant, and they're not, right? And so whereas literally Dungeons and Dragons, that's the other thing this starter set is doing, is taking the old school crown away from the OSR community and placing it firmly on the head of the D&D 5e community. But here's what's really, really fascinating, right? So I actually think I'm going to give credit where credit is due. I think the first person I heard talk about this was the OGGM, and he talked about these minis, and he said, hey, did you guys notice these are adult versions of the 1980, the D&D 1980 Saturday morning cartoons? What does that mean for the story? And it's a fantastic question, right? So let me tell you what it means for the story, okay? So I love this product so much, and these miniatures are so exciting. So because you're putting in the classic D&D 1980 Saturday morning cartoon characters, right? You're doing that. Well, let's talk for a minute, right? Actually, shockingly, Wizards of the Coast was like, these aren't those characters. They're inspired by those characters. I'm crying BS. That is complete BS. First of all, I love Wizards of the Coast, but they're a corporation, and they're going to do corporate speak, and that is the most corporate speak I ever corporated on a corporate, right? That is nonsense. Everybody looked at these and immediately said, That is the characters from the 1980s D&D Saturday morning cartoon. So you could say it's inspired, but those miniatures are spot on, right? It's the characters grown up, right? As me, I could say that because I ain't an employee of Wizards of the Coast, and I don't get free books from them, right? So you ain't gonna hear that on Neuroimmersion or anybody else, because like they're sponsored and those sponsors come with something, right? Okay, but I don't have those, right? Like, so I'm gonna say it. These are the characters, right? So basically, now here's what's interesting. This is where it gets really interesting, right? Dungeons and Dragons is made by Wizards of the Coast. Wizards of the Coast owns Dungeons and Dragons. When they move, they create canon. When they move, they create canon. When they move, they create canon. Okay? This is canon, right? Those miniatures are canon. And I love this product so much. I'm so excited for it, right? Because one of the other things that we're realizing too, especially because of Wizards of the Coast, because it is just hitting with every cylinder. The V8 engine is up and rumbling, man. We have so much momentum on D&D right now. And so one of the things you're seeing is, where does story come? It comes in the adventures we receive. It comes in the rules we receive. It comes in the cover of the product, and it comes in the mini of the product. Narrative is in everything now. Everything, right? And when you make a thing and you put that fat red ampersand on the side, D&D, it means something, right? And Wizards of the Coast cannot move without making canon. They think they can, they wish they could, and they desperately are aware that every single thing they say is declarative lore, right? And they want to get out of the business of declarative lore. They want to be in the mealy mouth business of, we don't really know what a blue dragon is or what kind of breath weapon it is. We really don't want to say declarative things about anything in the game anymore, right? But the reality is they can't, right? They are trapped. They want to be acceptable to everyone, right? But if you're trying to make everyone happy, you make no one happy, right? And I think there are times where they realize that, we've got to say something distinct. And with these miniatures, they are saying something distinct. What are they saying? They are setting new canon, right? Here is the canon. The D&D 1980s, 1983 to 1986 Dungeons & Dragons cartoon has no ending. No ending, okay? It officially ended without an ending. The kids were trapped. The kids from Earth were trapped in the Dungeons & Dragons world and never made it out, right? This drives that stake fully into the ground and says, for Presto, for Eric, for Hank, and for Diana, that decades passed and they were never able to return to Earth. That is a huge statement. A huge statement, right? It's really, really big. It also says that they traveled from different realms, right, to other realms, and that the D&D characters, Eric, Hank, Diana, and Presto, traveled to, at minimum, the Beckme world where they met Alina the cleric, right? It also means that they have come at minimum to Forgotten Realms, which by every indication that's where the Stormwreck Isle is located, right? So this is a huge statement about what happened to these characters, and it tells us about their future, right? Because Wizards of the Coast cannot move without making canon. Canon is made with every real product, right? It's very, very, very important for us to recognize that. And Dungeons and Dragons also, Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition is not perfect, right? One of the biggest problems they have right now is this passionate desire to say nothing declarative about within the lore. And that definitely needs to get fixed, right? And this is saying something hugely declarative. This is declarative lore, saying, we are giving you more information about the Dungeons and Dragons Saturday morning cartoon. We're saying these characters survived. They didn't get eaten by a bugbear, right? And they grew up never making it back to Earth, right? They're in the same, they literally didn't even change their clothes, right? Like, actually, Diana did, right? Maybe not. I think the outfit she's wearing there was worn in one of the like, and so they're there and they've gotten stronger and they're more adult, but they never made it back to Earth, right? And that's a huge statement. That's a really, really big statement. I am so excited about these miniatures, about Alina the Beckme cleric, about these D&D Saturday morning cartoon characters coming back, and Dungeons and Dragons. Really realizing OSR. No, thank you. We'll take old school forward. Thanks a lot. You guys can go check your nonsense in a swamp located to the left. And Dungeons and Dragons is just reclaiming the old school crown. Old school fans, true old school Dungeons and Dragons players and dungeon masters play D&D 5e, right? Just D&D was, shufflers play D&D 1e through 4e and D&D copies. If you're real old school, you play D&D 5th edition. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What are your thoughts about the canon being created by these miniatures? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.